Blog Talk Radio.
February the 2nd. No, not the 2nd, the 9th. I'm so behind. Whew. Welcome into the Lotus Place. This is Sunday evening, and tonight we're doing our Nubian history program on the Haitian Revolution. Brother Brown is going to deliver some critical elements of the Haitian Revolution, a revolution or war that is quite often not studied or discussed. Even with me studying African and African American history in college, there was no focus on the Haitian Revolution. So we do want to talk about the Haitian Revolution tonight. But before we get into the Haitian Revolution, our topic for Black History, we have Brother Brown and Mother Dunning on the line now, and we want to wish Dr. Randy Short, the producer of the Lotus Place broadcast, a wonderful, wonderful happy birthday. Let me clear my throat and sing happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Dr. Short. Happy birthday to you and many more. Okay. Brother Brown, are you there? Brother Brown. Come on now, get with it. Mother Donnie, are you there?
Mother Dunning is here. Mother Dunning is here.
On the line. All right, I can always count on Mother Dunning. Now, everybody
I'm
else
here.
Sometimes I just don't know. Okay, well,
Brother,
there you are.
Brother Brown is here.
Brother Brown, you in the house?
I'm in the house.
Welcome in, Brother Brown. Welcome in. You know what, Mother Dunning?
Yes.
can you give us a quick news update? You know, you're the news person for us. You know, I don't have television anymore. I disposed of 2 of them. So I don't get a chance to watch a lot of the news. I have to go online and read the news, and I didn't go online and read any news today. So tell us some of the fascinating stories of the week.
Well, the fascinating story of the week is everybody is talking about the trial. The trial that's going on down there in Florida about the young man. And yes, and they had his mother on TV tonight, and she said they had his mother on CBS, and she was saying that when she tell people that her child is dead, and people ask her how. She said, for playing loud music. She said people can't believe that her child is dead for playing loud music. But you know what the most saddest part of all is? Our life mean nothing. It means not anything to us. Because you know what? Like you said, some of the news story back here last week, Michael Vick was going to go and speak at this place, and I forgot where it was at, but it was on Facebook, and it's supposed to be 6,400 people there, and it may have been 64,000. But anyway, somebody got him to come and speak, and the people was going to be all upset, and they was going to march on the outside because he was speaking, because they said he killed these dogs. But you know what? Excuse my French. I said, the hell with the dogs. I said, because our life don't mean nothing to them. Our life mean nothing. A dog mean more to them than our own life. So, you know, all that just going through my mind, even like the young man going to lose his life because he was playing loud music. No, it wasn't the idea he was playing loud music, just like his girlfriend said when she testified that he said he didn't like that thug music. And then he didn't like the black boys that pulled up beside him. Then when you got out, you going to shoot 10 times? I've been keeping up with the trial. You going to shoot somebody 10 times. Then they had a man on TV tonight and says he's one of the senators that down there, one of the state representatives down there, that helped craft this law. And he said that he can use that defense if he said because that defense says if he felt like his life was being threatened to him, he can use stand your ground. What kind of mess is that? When is black folks going to wake up? When are they going to wake up and come to their senses and quit being so quick that focus their mind on other stuff? Focus their mind on stuff don't even mean no good. Like I got a niece every day. She want to watch the Atlanta Housewives. I told her, who would want to watch that trash? Don't nobody want to see Nene looking like a man and cussing like a thug. Who want to see Nene? Nene ain't doing nothing for me. Nene is showing y'all how to act stupid and give us a bad representation about black people. They energy and stuff is focused other. Our energy should be focused. How can we figure out a way to put some pressure on Florida to get this law changed? That's what our main goal.
Well, one of the things we have to realize is that in challenging laws, we as people, and I don't use people of color because I have to stick with what I believe when it comes to African people, because I'm not going to I never classify myself as an American, because if I was an American, why would you have to always extenuate certain laws just to show my inclusion in this country? See, no other people have to be given special rights, special laws to show their inclusion other than people of African descent. And we should have long picked up on this hundreds of years ago. You know, the civil rights legislation was no good. It was only fictitious. It was only used as an element of inclusion to justify why we're treated like this. And to continue on in the same pattern of allowing racism and supremacy to prevail against us makes us look real stupid. And when you have something like the Atlanta Housewives or the Basketball Wives or any kind of wives or anything that's degrading to our people as human beings, we have a tendency to want to be entertained. And that goes right back to the slave master syndrome that we so reluctantly forget about, that was prevalent during our demise as slaves. See, it was always appealing to us to appease the slave master. See, we danced, we did jigs, we did dances. You know, we sang. Somebody sent me a clip tonight talking about this, a white girl that was dancing, a white Spanish girl that was dancing like a black woman. Okay, and I told her, brother, you know, no disrespect to him, but that doesn't motivate me. I'm not interested in that. That has no bearing on me. Okay, because number one, that will not help free me, and number two, it will do nothing for mine. And in the same voice, the same brother said, could I help them establish a Boys and Girls Club in an area where he lived in? And I said, well, if you live there, what is your input? And he said, well, you know, that's not my thing. But you know, we used to call that majoring in the minors. We you know, and I call it Negroes buy what they want and they beg for what they need. See, we're still begging white people and a white supremacist government for an inclusion. And it's sad because we've been doing this ever since we've been over here. And after 400 or 500 years, it's time to stop begging people for your freedom. It is really time to stop begging people for your freedom. I have relentlessly told people that we have never taken our fight to an international level. We have never used it wisely. I'm not talking about your air shopping and the people that walk around with little cards in the air. That gets nothing but media coverage, and then one day and it's gone. One day you get a one-day fame or fortune with Michael Basin and when they went to Louisiana. You've heard nothing else about John, Louisiana. You know, you hear nothing right now about Trayvon Martin. You don't even see nobody talk about Trayvon Martin. So when we get these 5 minutes of fame and fortune, and somebody is given a settlement agreement or something happens, it's over. It's done. One thing I want to mention, and I'm not even going to get into my study now on the Haitian Revolution, is that these people fought relentlessly for 14 years. Okay, this is the longest war there has ever been. It's really longer than 14 years, but I'm just saying their diligence in fighting for their freedom against the major world powers is something that has never been equal in the history of the world. And here we are supposed to be the most educated, economically empowered people on the face of the earth when it comes to African Americans. And yet we don't have the unity to unify ourselves against what's going on with people of lower income status. We have allowed European and Asian ideologists to separate us economically, to disempower us from fighting for our rights as human beings. And when you do that, people that control the media and other resources, they always throw illusions up. There's so much mess on YouTube that will disillusion your mind that the real positive things on YouTube, like Dr. Clark, Dr. Ben, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, things like that we could copy and distribute to one another. We don't look at that. We look at people fighting each other in the project, tearing their clothes up. We look at ignorance. So when you're looking at ignorance, and this is the personification of your mindset, you have no inclusion as to what is really going on with the destruction of African people the world over, especially in the Western Hemisphere. So we are always fed an illusion of inclusion to think that, this is okay now. We have arrived. I have a car, I have a house, I have a job, I'm living the American dream, and I tell people you're only living the American nightmare, the African nightmare.
All right, Brother Brown, I agree with you on that. It's definitely a nightmare. Some people trying to pursue a dream, but we live in a nightmare. I wonder will we ever wake up. So let's start digging into our topic on the Haitian Revolution, Saint-Domingue. We're going to talk about some of the commanders of the Haitian Revolution. Brother Brown, would you like to lead us into the discussion for tonight, please?
Yeah, and, it's something that I realize that we must do, and I'm going to start doing this on my behalf, because every time we have one of these discussions, because when I do speak, because this is something that I do, I just want to make a libation to my ancestors for allowing me and asking them for permission for me to speak, and I will do it, and I'll be very brief. I come in the name of my ancestors, and I ask that they give me permission to speak. Ashe.
Ashe.
I ask that my ancestors give me safe passage in my thought process, that I may deliver the message that they have given me on behalf of the revolution of my African people. Ashe.
Ashe.
And I ask that the people that have unified themselves on this radio program, I ask that we will continue to be in unity, love, and peace, with an understanding that we are fighting for the liberation and the freedom of African people the world over. Ashe.
Ashe. I know that's right. And you know what? And it is a tradition, an African tradition for the younger people to ask permission from the elders to speak. So let me just follow suit. And may I have permission from my elders to speak?
Ashe.
Thank you. All right, then. Let's get this started, because you know what? This is quote-unquote Black History Month, but, we celebrate our history every day. But tonight we just want to have a discussion on the Haitian Revolution. So, Brother Brown, you decided on this topic, which is a very good topic, a very good discussion to have. So let's just dig into it. We had a lot of people that were very interested in hearing you speak on the topic tonight. We're going to talk about Boukman, Dessalines, and Toussaint Louverture. Parlez-vous français? Let's get this going. I wish I knew some Haitian. I got a friend. She can speak fluent Haitian. She went over to Haiti for a few months, and so she became fluent. And oh my God, I just love to hear her speak. But Brother Brown, give us some information. Give us the history.
Well, slavery in the Western Hemisphere began in the 14th. Well, we always are a century behind, so the 14th century was the 15th century. So slavery began in the 15th century in the Western Hemisphere, primarily with Columbus discovering what they call America. Well, we all know Columbus never discovered America because America was already here when Columbus got here. But one of the things that is very, very evident is that slavery was an institution of economics. And countries, the major European countries, which were France and Great Britain, Spain, knew that this exploration would bring them not just economic wealth, but bring them trade agreements with each other that they could utilized for the benefit of capitalism. So to enslave the people of African descent after they had left the Mediterranean area and went back to Africa was one of the promulgations of the Catholic Church. Okay, this was sanctioned by Bartholomew de las Casas, and he gave them the right to go and enslave African people. With that being noted, they went and enslaved the African people, and they transferred them to the Western Hemisphere. And all throughout the Caribbean, okay, slavery began, and the institution of capitalistic slavery was embellished all over this area. Now, when we study when we study black history, we very rarely in our classrooms, in the academia, we very rarely look at slavery votes and the uprising of the spirit of the African during his enslavement, opposition to slavery, and fighting for his freedom. And one of the reasons is because people always tell you that it's no sense, and this is based on people of European descent who are in academia in some form or fashion. They say, well, you know, that's over with, that happened, you know, we're sorry it happened, and I mean, what do you want us to do? And there's nothing you can do except make it a known fact that the elements of our enslavement with anybody are still taking place today. But to look at the Haitian Revolution, this was the second, not the first. This was the second indoctrination of freedom. Well, actually it was the third, because there was some slavery. There was a slavery vote in Mexico by a black slave, and his picture's on the internet. And his name is, I got it. It happened in San Miguel, Guadalupe. Okay. And what happened was, this was the one that happened in Georgia. In 1526, the first slavery vote took place on America's soil in Georgia. That was some 200 years before the Haitian Revolution. And what happened was that there was a slave master from Saint-Domingue, which is where Haiti is right now today, who brought his plantation efforts to the United States. And that's where the first slaves actually were, and this was in 1526. It wasn't 1619. So now we see that some of the things that we have been taught in our history books are fabricated elements. So when you have these fabricated elements, you know, you don't get a real concise ideology of what the truth really is. And I believe that we need to deal with truth at this point in time, because it's essential that our children who are coming up in school know what truth is. And that's where this you know, I got obsessed years ago with this Haitian Revolution, because I later found out that some of my roots were from the Caribbean, and the descendants, I'm a descendant of Haitian slaves, because all of the slaves that were brought to the South Carolina region, where our father's people came from, they came from Haiti. Okay, they were Haitian slaves. So that gave me somewhat of a spiritual insight into understanding where I came from, you know, where my people came from. And this was a spiritual awakening to me, because I now felt like I had to search for that. You know, it was just like a yearning and a thirst. And the more I read, the more I became obsessed with knowing about the Haitian Revolution. And the thing about the Haitian Revolution that got me so obsessed was that their spirit of freedom. And their spirit of freedom was one that cannot be equal. I mean, we can look back at the civil rights movement, we can look back at all the protest movements, but it was something about they never gave up. They fought for 14 years. And even after they even after they thought the war was over, because, it really didn't start with the French. It started with Spain. And the Haitian slaves in their revolt took allegiance to the French. Now, we don't teach you this in school. When they took allegiance to the French, under Napoleon betrayed them with a false treaty. They then had to go back after they imprisoned Toussaint. And Dessalines had to come along, and then he had to really, really get down to the bare knuckles of the wall, and they had to fight all over again, and that's where they actually won their real independence. But it started with a brother named McKendall. And McKendall was a slave who was on the plantation. His name was Francois McKendall, and he was one of the original Haitian Maroon leaders. He died in 1758, and he was from Saint-Domingue. He was alleged to be an African Hugon Vodun priest. Now, it was something amazing about this, because most of the leaders of the Haitian Revolution were alleged to be voodoo priests. Now, for whatever we want to look at it as, this was one of the ways that the European has said, well, voodoo or Vodun or whatever we want to acknowledge it as being was something of a nature that we don't want to deal with. But the truth of the matter is, it was African spirituality. And this African spirituality paved the way for us to be free. Now, people may have mixed emotions about it. They may say, well, why did they have to use these means of witchcraft? And it wasn't witchcraft. It was merely the fact that this was a spirituality that they brought from them when they came from Africa, and this was the only way that they could use to defeat the people that had enslaved them. So when McCampbell started his revolt, this led to the Haitian people being aware that freedom was at their disposal. And when we look at this for what it is, this was the beginning of the liberation of Haiti. See, there's always a beginning. There's always a sacrifice. There's always somebody, we look at Dr. King as being our sacrifice. But there's always a sacrifice that people have to make in reference to their freedom. And the point that I really want to set aside tonight is that we have actually betrayed our Haitian brothers and sisters. And some people may not see it as that, but we have more money, we have more economic empowerment, we have more education, but we are brothers and sisters with these people, the same way that we are brothers and sisters with people on the continent of Africa. But how much have we done? And I want to add something else. We should be right now in tune to what is going on with these people. We should be in tune to how what sacrifices are we willing to make for the liberation of our people. Mm-hmm. And we haven't made any sacrifices. And, one thing we agreed on the other night when we were talking and discussing our program, I would like for people at the early stages of our program, while we are going through our dialogue, to call in and voice their opinion. Let us know if you're listening. It's very essential that we know that there are people out there who are feeding into these facts that we are giving them. We need feedback while the program is on the air. We need people to ask questions that they don't understand. and we're going to tell you to limit your questions and your answers. Limit your questions or your comments to a certain time frame. And we're not going to argue with anybody. We're not going to do any of that doubt debating, because this is not an element of debate. This is a discussion, and we want to keep it clean. We want to keep it civilized, and we want everybody to be included. And if you want to call in right now, then feel free, and the host can punch you in. You can ask a question, make a statement. You can continue the dialogue. Now, when Francois McConville, when he started his organizing stages of the first Haitian uprising, what he did was he used natural herbs and distributed them to the slaves who worked in the houses, and he poisoned the people. And this was classified at that point in time as guerrilla warfare. They used guerrilla warfare because they didn't have any ships, they didn't have any weapons, they didn't have any real means of fighting. So they realized that they were fighting a war that they needed to use whatever elements they could, because you got to realize they're fighting for something they had never had. They were fighting for not just independence of Haiti, they were fighting against the elements of slavery. Mm-hmm. We look at Nat Turner, we look at Denmark Vesey, we look at Gabriel Prosser. These people had to fight tooth and nail just to be free. When we look at our situations today and some of the elements that Mother Dorfin brought up, we're facing the same dilemma. Why should we be fighting for freedom now? And it's something that we should think about. And when we look at these people that when they come over here, I have seen so many people have such a strong disdain for the Haitian people, because there's a strong Haitian population up here where I live at on the eastern shore of Maryland, and I always embrace them and talk to them, because I had one tell me, said, brother, how do you know so much about Haiti? And I told him, I said, well, I'm in tune to what my ancestors did in Haiti, and I'm also immersed in my education about the Haitian people, because it's interesting to me how these people with no weapons, no means of survival, could actually free themselves from this chattel enslavement and fight against the major powers. And there's something else that I found out, why these people are so impoverished and it's never mentioned, is because there was an embargo against them. Now, can you believe that one of the poorest countries in the Western Hemisphere, who fought just for their own independence, nothing else, were castigated for being free? And we still right now, with all of our education and everything, don't understand what freedom is. Now, if you place an embargo, which means you control all of their economics, from 1803, let me get my fit, from 1806 until 2003, we have controlled the economics of these people. That is absurd. It is pitiful. Why are we still allowing the United States government to control the Haitian people?
Right.
And yet we sit back and we say, well, you know what, they bad people, or they this and they that, and they believe in voodoo, and they're not saved, and they're not Christians. That has nothing to do with the people, but it has everything to do with them being free. And until we understand that aspect, until we acknowledge who these people are, then we're in the same boat. We're not free. There's an embargo right now on the colonization of African people right here in the United States of America. And guess what? We can't see it. we can't see how we living in the projects and how we don't have an inclusion in America. We're living medical apartheid every day. And yet we won't even help the people who need the help, and that's our Haitian brothers and sisters.
That's right.
I mean, I go in places sometime and I see how people that live over here on the Eastern Shore look at them with such disdain, but they don't know where it comes from. And then when you turn around and you look at the conditions of black people in Baltimore, where I frequent very often, the conditions are the same. But, you know, I don't want to get off of my topic, and we need to understand that if we're going to have a revolution, it has to be a real revolution. It has to be a revolution like the Haitian people had, where they just said, you know what, enough is enough. And I don't mean that black people should go out there and get guns and, you know, think that they can kill everybody that don't look like them and that's the solution to our problem. No, I don't, because they got tactics that they can use right now that they can pull up on you, look at you on the internet, send a drone to kill you. I mean, you look at what they did to the MOVE organization.
Yeah.
Burnt the whole block, man. They burnt the whole block, man, and killed all some black people just for the sake of nothing.
Just like Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Just like Black Wall Street, right.
Right. We're gonna try to do Black Wall Street next week, because I was thinking about that, because there's a lot that has never been told about Black Wall Street. Nobody has told us about the economic empowerment that we had. And we have a situation in Norfolk, and I don't want to jump off my subject, but I want to just put this in there right quick. We have a situation in Norfolk like that years ago, where we had a black district, a black economic district called Church Street. And I guess every black community at one time or another had a Black Wall Street, because these were the hubs of our economic basis, and they have all been destroyed. Harlem is no longer all black. It's been destroyed. You go to Detroit, the black community in Detroit has been destroyed. You go to Baltimore, you look at Pennsylvania Avenue, it's been destroyed. You look at North Avenue, it's been destroyed. Everybody that businesses on those streets don't look like us anymore. So this has been a trend all over the United States. Same thing with black hospitals. We had our own hospitals where our doctors could practice at. That has been destroyed. So the Haitian Revolution and the mindset of fighting for your freedom at all costs should be in the spirit of everybody that's listening. People, that must be done. We don't have time to continue to have false inclusion. We don't have time to continue to look at the Atlanta Housewives or the Basketball Wives or nothing of that nature. And then we need to realize that these people gain their independence by believing in who they are. And that was one of the most outstanding things I liked about studying the Haitian Revolution. They never, ever, ever forgot who they were. And even after the Haitian Revolution, under Woodrow Wilson, and there was a Haitian president who defied the United States because of the embargo, and he was assassinated publicly by this president of the United States of America. I will have his name on the next program. I didn't have time to get all of that. But he was actually killed in the streets of Haiti. So we have to look at revolution as being something that we're going to have to come to grips with if we're going to sacrifice for the good of our people. And we should be willing and able to understand that the beginning of the Haitian Revolution, and this is very essential, began with organizing ourselves. Let nobody organize you. You organize yourself. You put yourself in the right frame of mind. You understand the element of sacrifice, but you also have to look at the goals of the revolution. And the goal of the revolution for African people is freedom, total freedom, not some fabricated freedom, but total freedom. Because in the Western Hemisphere, we don't know freedom. The Haitian people took their freedom. And what did it cost them? It cost them 200 years of economic, physical, mental degradation. Then we have to look at the other element that we never talk about, and that's the post-traumatic slavery disorder. That is the traumatization that's embedded genetically when you have been traumatized for hundreds of years. And we're suffering from that right now today. We're suffering from that in more ways than one. We suffer every day from that traumatization. And the only way you set yourself...
Let's take a call. You want to take a call, Brother Brown?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
let's take a call.
Okay. All right, caller from 973. Welcome into the Lotus Place. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Great. Where are you calling from?
From Newark, New Jersey.
All right, representing New Jersey. Thanks for calling in to our Nubian history program on the Haitian Revolution. Would you like to share your thoughts? You have a question or a comment?
I have a comment, and some of my best friends are Haitians, and the one thing that we have to the one thing that we need to understand is that they already had their African spirituality to gain their independence. Okay, we never needed a Bible to do that. Also, okay, we never needed a Bible, and here is this: a lot of our brothers and sisters in the United States think that our Haitian brothers and sisters are different from us. Well, newsflash, no, they are not. They are the same people, just like us. Okay.
That's right.
Puerto Ricans, Cubans, Dominicans, Jamaicans. Okay.
That's right.
They are all people of African descent that speak European languages. Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
Bring it home, brother.
And also is that our brothers and sisters in the United States think that they're free, but mentally free and being spiritually free, no, we are not. Because we are still suffering from post-traumatic slavery disorder, just like what the gentleman said earlier about that. Because also we've always been looking for white people to help us. Just like with Black Wall Street, for example, we had our own economy, we had our own businesses, our own banks, our own supermarkets, our own churches, okay, without the help of white people. But that's another topic on that.
You know, brother, I really appreciate you calling in and saying that we are all one, and we are. I know when I lived in Miami, what I witnessed is the Jamaicans felt that they were superior to the Haitians, and then the Haitians disliked the Jamaicans, and then the Jamaicans and the Haitians disliked the African Americans, quote unquote African Americans. And then recently in the news, you know, there was the talk of how the Dominicans were killing off a lot of the Haitians, and that's ridiculous.
Yes.
Because when you get through with it, we're all one. We're all, number one, human beings, and then all of these people are people of color that have been oppressed. And so this infighting amongst us is ridiculous.
And also, we are not from no 12 tribes of of Israel, okay, we are African people, okay, not no 12 tribes of no Israel, and also that's our problem too is with this religion, okay, it divides and conquers us, and that's our downfall.
Right, religion is one of the tools that Europeans and Asians, because we have to look at Muslims, the origination of the Islamic religion.
Yes,
see, what we need to do. What we need to do when looking at religion is look at the origination of it. Where did it originate from? See, when people tell me that Islam is black, it immigrated to Africa. It didn't originate. The concept originated in Africa based on what came out. Right, based on what came out of Egypt. Ancient Kemeitc, not Egypt today, because Egypt today is controlled by Islam. Ancient Kemeitc, there was no Islam. So when you look at the history of what we're talking about, then you have to go back to the ancient Kemeitc. You go back to the ancient Kemetic language of the people and the concepts that were produced by the people. Then you will find out that the fabrications that have been given over the years of inclusion do not include people that look like us. And that's something that we need to come to grips with. It is not to degrade anybody for what they believe in, but we have to learn and we have to understand that we must learn how to deal with truth. And truth is the only thing that will set you free. So it's not to say that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did not have good intentions when he said that he created the Nation of Islam. There was a reason during that time and frame, and then it's not to say that Malcolm was not a freedom fighter because Malcolm believed in Islam, but it is always to say that we must go back and understand that the nature of what has happened is that it was for inclusion in political process. It was the political process of controlling and dominating the people. We must come to grips and understanding that the Asian Islamic people, the Arabs, were our first enslavers. They were our first enslavers, and they were mad. They were mad. Let me say one more thing. Mm-hmm. They were mad. They were mad at the African because the African people had castigated them out. They had castigated them out. They were once colonized by Egypt. And see, they don't tell you that. That was one of the things that made them kind of ticked off with the African people, is because the Arab was once controlled by the Egyptians. And that's a long story of history that we need to look at for what it's worth, and we'll do that on another program. But that was his inclusion, is that was his purpose of his enslavement of our people, is because we were controlling them long before there was an Islam.
And also to this day is that those pale Arabs, which are not the true Arabs, okay, they are still in Africa, still using Africans as child slaves.
That's right.
Yes,
that's right. And that's going on right now in Mauritania. And the thing about it is, what's going on in Mauritania is that the people that are being enslaved look like me and you. And the other thing is that the people that's doing the enslaving are people the people out there. They're black Arabs, and the Catholic Church is paying the ransom for these people to be returned back to Mauritania. And I think that's something that we need to take a look at another program. Thank you, brother.
You're welcome. And can I say one more thing?
Sure.
Also, black people in America need to just wake the hell up and stop being so damn naive when it comes to our people being oppressed globally. Just like the Dravidians, they are the most oppressed people on earth right now. Dalits. They are African people in India, just like our African brothers and sisters in West Papua New Guinea. But they are still being oppressed by the Indonesian government. Okay, so us Africans in America need to just wake the fuck up. Excuse my language.
All right, brother. Thank you very much. Now, right after Francois, right after Francois, we had a man called Dutty Boukman. Now, everybody don't know about Dutty Boukman. Dutty Boukman was one of my heroes. And in our topic, we talked about the three heroes of the Haitian Revolution, and a lot of people didn't know about Francois Macondo. But Dutty Boukman was a Jamaican-born Haitian slave, and he was one of the most visible leaders because after Macondo, Dutty Boukman was actually one of the organizers who, again, was a voodoo shaman, and he said that, you know what? He said the same thing that Henry Highland Garnet said in regards to slavery. He said in order to be free, you got to take up arms and free yourself. Now, when Henry Highland Garnet said that years ago as a revolutionary, as a minister, he was outcast by Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass said, you know what, I can't deal with him. I got to get out of here. And that's when Frederick Douglass went and stayed in Europe for many years until some of the stuff blew over and it was alleged that he was for his life. Well, he couldn't be associated with the radicalism of Henry Highland Garnet. So we have to understand that when radical people come on the scene and use radical thoughts and ideology, and I want the people to get an understanding of what the word radical actually means. Radical means only to bring about a change. Revolution means to bring about a change. See, when you have revolutionary radical thought, that means that I'm not going to go out here and blow up everything around me and destroy everything like the guy did with the Oklahoma bombing, which we don't even know whether he's dead or alive. Okay? But it means that we have a tendency and we have an obligation to bring about change for the benefit of our people. And if we're not going to do that, if we're not going to use that thought process, then what we're going to end up doing is that we're going to end up doing nothing. And then we're going to end up saying to ourselves, you know what, I'm going to have to live with these situations. I'm going to have to try to train my children to live with these situations. And we don't have to live in those conditions. And we have been forced to make ourselves live in those conditions, allegedly for the sake of inclusion. And my thing is, where is the inclusion? What are we trying to be included with? Are we trying to say to self that it's okay to be nothing? Are we trying to say to self that it's all right if we just coexist and don't have to have total freedom and total economic freedom? So when Boukman came on the scene, you know, he hooked up with this sister named Cecile Fatima, and, you know, they prophesied over some brothers that were slaves and said, you know, that they would be leaders in a resistance movement. Again, we go back. These people had a connection with African spirituality. They said that we're going to use our spirituality. They didn't use Christianity. They didn't use Islam. They used what they had from the mother country. They used what spiritual elements that they had retained through their history, through what their ancestors had taught them, through what their mothers and fathers had. This is your way. See, we don't have a way right now in Black America. We don't have a spiritual way. Our theological concepts are always indoctrinated by European or Asian thought. So until we get on page 1 and say to ourselves, as a unified people with a unified goal and a unified concept, this is what we're going to do. We're going back to what made my ancestors prosperous. We're going back to Mayat. We're going back to the 142 negative confessions of Mayat, which was later introduced in the first 4 books of the Bible when it comes to the Talmud, or what they call the books of Moses. See, and when we go back to our original spirituality, like Boukman did when he cooperated, sacrifice of the people and understanding that we're going to do this together. See, we're going to come on one accord because we have a common goal. And these people did this, and what amazes me is this. They did this with no education. They had no formal education other than Boukman being able to read, and some say he read the Quran, some say he interpreted the Bible from another perspective. But he was a learned man. He was a leader. Leaders are not bred, they're born. You're born with leadership qualities. You're born with the humbleness of spirit to be able to lead your people. You look at Dr. King, Malcolm, you look at Dr. Clark, Dr. Ben, you look at Leonard Jeffries, you look at a man that nobody talks about, and we're going to do a story on him one day called Hubert Henry Harrison. He was from Harlem. The man was brilliant in 1919. His thought processes of raising up an awareness of educated blacks took place almost prior to the Harlem Renaissance. So there is a spiritual connection with revolution. And when Boukman did this, he was the first man he was not the first to attempt the slave rising, but he gave the organization skills to those who followed him. Okay? And those who followed him took up the banner. And now we come to something that was introduced that I don't think we have read about in a lot of history books, and it was introduced by Louis XIV in 1685. Now, what Louis XIV realized during this period of time, and is that even though there was slavery, because I think outlawed slavery in 1794, if I'm not mistaken. But what Louis XIV said was, you know what, we got to treat these slaves with a certain mannerism. And they would burn slaves under the ground alive, and they were hanging them on crosses, and they were doing things that was just unorthodox. So he came up with this code Noah, and this can be found in Wikipedia just for your information. And it defined the conditions of slavery in the French colonial empire, and it also, now this is very important, it restricted the activities of free Negroes and forbade the exercise of any religion other than Roman Catholicism. Now, do this coincide with what we're dealing with today? Yes, it does. Black people in America, for whatever it is and for whatever, we just heard somebody talk about, stand your ground law when the guy white man killed a black man, young boy, for playing music. So there are restrictions upon us based through laws that we're not attacking. And we can stop believing in our Negro organizations and that we shall overcome stuff because it ain't happening. And as the brother said, we got to wake up. So here we have in 1685, we have laws being made that allegedly is going to benefit the Negro slaves, but in reality, it's taking away their rights. And that is the same identical thing that we are faced with today. We have laws on the books in America that allegedly called Civil Rights Act, but when are they instituted? When do we ever get a chance to benefit from them? And who do they benefit most? They benefit elements of life. Yeah, go ahead and take a call. We can take them. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Caller from 443, your mic is open. Do you have a question or a comment?
Peace and blessings. I have a comment. Good evening to the both of you. Hi, Brother Lamar. This
How
is
you doing,
Finwall
my sister?
from Annapolis.
How you doing, my sister?
I'm good. My comment is about true revolution. And when you say that it's going to take a true revolution, in my mind, I was thinking how we have all these boards getting together in the educational field. We need to have our history put in their books, or we need to have our own schools. That's true revolution to me. And how do we go about achieving this?
Well, okay, I'll answer that. Sister Finwa, I appreciate your call. Ashe.
Ashe.
One of the ways that we can go about that is, years ago I used to work for some Jewish people. I was doing some paint work for them. And one of the things I noticed that every day or every Saturday after school, these young kids would go to the Jewish school, and sometimes they'd go in the evening. And what amazed me was that their father was Jewish, but their mother wasn't. And, we all know the story about the Jews, so that's not really interesting. But what interested me was the fact that they didn't have a problem educating their children outside of the regular school. Now, they all went to public school. See, what we're doing is that we don't want our children to be educated outside of public school. Because why? We don't have the time for that. Our kids play video games when they should be being educated into who they are. I sent a picture on Facebook to several people of the Panther School that we had in Oakland, California back in the 1970s. And this was one of the beginning charter schools in the black community with the free breakfast program. See? And these were revolutionary ideas that came out of a movement that was squashed by the federal government. Again, this is a revolution. Because what we were doing at that time in the Panther Party, even though I was 16 years old and participating in some of the activities, we were trying to bring about a change. We had been taught in white schools that our beginning began with slavery. Mm-hmm. So as we progressed, we didn't know anything. I mean, I remember reading books and learning history in elementary school, and there was nothing about no progressiveness of our people from, I didn't even know who an Egyptian was. My only connection with an Egyptian, I later found out, was when it was talking about the Egyptian slaving the Hebrews. Okay, and that was in reference to biblical texts. So I didn't know anything about my history, but here we had a chance to teach the younger generation who they were as people, but not only teach them who they were as people, and some of y'all have looked at my clip that I sent you on Facebook. They were well-groomed. They didn't look like little thugs wearing pants hanging off their butt at 6 or 7 years old. They had their shirts in their pants. They had nice starched shirts on. They were well-groomed. The little girls had on skirts, and they were uniform. Mm-hmm. Nobody was better than anybody else. So when you teach that, when you produce that element, see, there's nothing wrong with our kids on Saturday morning going to a black school setting, learning who they are, instead of sitting home looking at cartoons or playing a video game called Grand Theft Auto, which actually teaches them how to be thugs, gangsters, and fools.
Right. And Brother Brown, can I just jump in right there and comment?
Come on.
Your statement? And that is very, very powerful, what you just stated about it's nothing wrong, children receiving some education about their history on a Saturday morning instead of watching whatever on TV and playing some games. When I was a student at the University of Memphis, back home in my hometown of Memphis, Tennessee, as I mentioned, my major was African and African American Studies, and I was a fellow of the Benjamin Hooks Institute for Social Justice, and we organized a tutoring session on Saturdays, and we had children from Memphis, Arkansas, and Mississippi coming in on a Saturday morning, like about 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, for tutoring on African history, as well as preparing them for the ACT and SAT. But the youngest student was 14 years of age. Her name is Kiara. Brilliant. This young girl was 14 years of age, quoting Malcolm, talking about Malcolm, not just Martin Luther King, but Malcolm. Do you know how that made me feel? And I still talk to this young lady right now today. Brilliant. I think she's a triple major at, Ole Miss. This little girl, she is going to be someone to be reckoned with because she started young. Kiara. I give props up to that little young lady. But definitely, Brother Brown, we need that. These young people, they need to hear about the Haitian Revolution. They need to hear about the struggle. I want you to touch a little bit more on, I like what you said about using the spirituality because people do recognize how the Haitians used their African spirituality to overcome the French and to gain their freedom. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, sure. One of the elements of understanding African spirituality is that anything that the European could not conquer or anything that they could not destroy or control, they doomed it bad. And it goes back to what one of my mentors I studied named Bobby Wright, who was a passed on black psychologist. He said, he who defines words rule. So we have to look at the words that have been defined in reference to things that pertain to us. And when people say, well, they don't call it vaudin, they call it voodoo. That is a European interpretation of the spirituality of our people, basically the Dogon people of West Africa. And when they used it, the European used it in that context. What he was saying was that it had something to do with zombies, and we see movies, because they will believe in using media to portray African people as being everything but civilized. And I remember looking at Serpent and the Rainbow, where this white guy goes into Haiti. And, he's looking at the spirituality of the African people as being something of a degrading nature. Why are these people running around? The women don't have no shoes on. They got rags tied around their head. They got, their breasts hanging out or have this scantily clad. Well, you know what? That is not the reality of Vaudin. Okay? So when we are portrayed in that manner, it makes us look like we're anything, we're everything less than human. So to degrade that, to degrade our spirituality is to actually disband our spirituality and telling us, y'all don't need to even look at that because it has no burn. See, but they don't tell us, nobody's looking at the aspect of saying that the Haitian Revolution and the emergence of what they use as a spiritual tool. But they will tell you to go to church and pray to Jesus and believe in Jesus, and the anointing of the Holy Spirit will free you. So coming from a Christian background in my past, when the Creator led me through that to understand how it was being used against my people, why is your spirituality based on your European ideology and the book that you wrote after fabricating it out of Egypt any better than what my original essence is of who I am? So we need to understand that these people in the Caribbean never lost their culture. That is my point. We lost our culture in America. We were taken out of our culture, beaten into submission to believe somebody else's culture was better than us. And now, after 400 years, when we have been exposed mentally and educationally from another perspective of knowing that our spirituality does exist, we are still suffering from the psychological effects of mental enslavement because we can't shake that. See, we can't come to grips with who we are as a people and get rid of that. And if we get rid of that today and come on one accord on the unified concept of understanding our spirituality and what is in the cosmos for us, the heavens, our ancestors, the libations on a daily basis. When people get up in the morning and they say their prayers, I have no problem with that, but why can't we get up and give reverence to our ancestors? So we need to understand that is the spiritual base of revolution, to be able to come on one accord with our own spirituality and understand that it's time for us to get some things done. You know, we have been majoring in the minors of inclusion for years. We have been trying to be included in a system that has not included us for years. And until we get back on that one accord, and until we realize that this is the basis of our knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, then we will still be used as pawns in the game of chess, because that's what white people will use us as. So I agree with you 100%. Let's get back to the basics. Let's teach our children who they are. Let our children understand their own spirituality. Let our children understand it is a necessity to be African. It is a necessity for teach our children when they get up in the morning to make libation to their ancestors, because that is their spiritual power. That is who we are as a people. And it's time that we stop trying to be someone we're not. Do we have another call?
Let me see. Yes, we do.
Okay.
All right. Caller from 410-251. Do you have a question or a comment? Welcome into the Lotus Place. Caller. Okay, so if I open up your mic and you don't want to speak, just say no thank you, so I won't have to keep saying caller. Okay, let's take another call. Caller from 917. Welcome into the Lotus Place, and your mic is open. Caller 917. Okay, they hung up. Caller 323. Do you have a question or comment?
Hotel. This
Hotel,
is brother himself. Brother Henry invited me on, so I just came on to check it out.
Oh, okay. Great. Okay, were you just listening in? Did you have a question or
yes,
a comment?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. What was the topic? I didn't get a chance to exactly see the topic.
Oh, okay. Well, we're talking about the Haitian Revolution. So we're talking about Boukman, Dessalines, and Toussaint Louverture. So we're just giving a background, historical account of the Haitian Revolution and how it applies to us today. Let me ask you this. When you were in school, did you ever have study time on the Haitian Revolution?
No, ma'am. I don't remember. No, I don't think so.
I didn't either. And as incredulous as it is, my major in college was African and African American history. We never talked about the Haitian Revolution in any of my classes.
Not even in college?
Not even in college.
It's something they hide.
Oh, most definitely. So that's why we wanted to talk about this
They hide something.
Oh, well, they're always hiding. But, it's up to us to share the history. Now, Brother Brown just spoke about, in reference to what a caller mentioned about us starting our own schools, and we definitely need to do that for sure, as well as starting our own businesses. But I feel like if you're not able to keep your child at home, if you can homeschool your child, that's okay. We understand that. But we must teach our children the history at home. We have to do that. We have to start doing that. Instead of spending so much money on these new Jordans, that's fine if you want to buy your child Jordans or whatever. That's fine. But buy them a book about our history as well. Don't you think?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We do need that.
We need it. And that's why we're so lost. We don't know our history. We don't know the fight. We don't know the struggle. And if you don't know the fight or the struggle, then you think you're free. And that's what we have. We have a bunch of young people growing up now thinking that we're free. Oh, they fought for our freedom during the Civil Rights Movement, and now we're free. But we're not. The struggle continues.
No, we're not. And here's the thing, not to cut you off, sister. It's you just made me think about that term, microwave slave, and they just took it to the next level, and that's where we are. Especially the young ones, with microwave slaves. I want what I want when I want it right now, and I'm going to cry like a baby, or if I don't get my way, I'm going to take my ball and go home. See, these different situations has got us microwave slaves, so we don't want to work for nothing. And,
right.
And we got the wrong images from media, from education, we just got the wrong examples as a whole, and it's a big fight, but, they going hard in the paint on us. They going hard on the paint on what goes into our children's minds.
And another thing is that, I had an opportunity to actually, my wife told me to look at one of the young men that I mentored to play this game called, what is the Grand Theft Auto? Play this Grand Theft Auto, man, and I'm gonna tell you from a spiritual standpoint, and this is where we don't look at things at. Right, this kid sit down. I think he's 10 years old, 9 or 10 years old, and I actually saw him change his nature in front of my eyes. And his 4-year-old little sister told him, she said, "Shane, it is only a game," but he's so obsessed. And that obsession becomes overwhelming to him. And next thing I know, this kid is cussing, calling the women on the thing bitches and hoes. And I'm like, it's like almost unreal to see this thing happening right in front of my eyes. So I'm saying, why are we buying our children these mind-changing games when they don't even know who they are? Yeah. It's more than brainwashing.
Hey, brother, you know what? I just thought about it. I just left my little cousin, and he always, every time I go over there, he playing that war game where they get to shoot and kill people, and they be online from different people all over the planet. Right. And you get some racist boys, they call them Negro and all these names and all that. But my cousin is on that game constantly. Now, here's the thing. I'm thinking that if you allowing yourself to be killed on screen thousands and thousands of times and thinking it's no problem. And so I believe that if you get into a situation really out in the street, you have that. You have that. You may think you have some skills from that game, but then your attitude is just, I don't care, do it, because in your mind you felt that you survived in that game, or you just picked another player, or you just came on again. And this is the mindset in your mind until your butt really get hit by a bullet, a real one, and you're not playing the game. Now there ain't so much fiction. But this is the reality of our children, what's going in our children's mind. That's what I think.
Right.
I don't even play the game. I mean, back in the day, I played a little Centipede, a little Gallagher, some small little war games. I might have played Mortal Kombat or something, or some Donkey Kong or something. But
yeah, but it's a whole different different ball game, because you can actually sit there. You can actually
and kill
sit there.
People.
Well, not only that, but you can sit there and see how this thing overcomes the mind psychologically. You can actually see how this thing actually possesses the mind of these children. And as I sit there and I watch that, because I had told my son, you know, my granddaughter wanted to play those games, and I told my son, I said, look, man, I said, I know you play them, because he likes to play them war games. And I told him, I said, man, you need to get you some books and leave that shit alone. Leave that alone. I said, because what you're doing, I said, you bringing in something in your household that you don't want. And I remember years ago when he was a kid, and he was obsessed with this thing called Transformer. You know, and I didn't really know nothing about no Transformer. And I remember my daughter, and they were little kids, and they were going to elementary school. I think she was 6 and he was 10. And she said, I can't sleep at night. And I said, why you can't sleep? She said, because those things keep bothering me. And I said, well, what things? And she said, them things. And I would go in the room, I would put her to sleep, and I would go in the room at 11 o'clock, and I would watch her. Her eyes would be wide open. And once I took those Transformers out of his room, she slept all night long. All night long. So I then realized that, you know, I don't know who makes these toys. I don't even know where the people come from. But I know that it was a psychological attack on our children. And I think that we need to be very, very careful of how we buy these toys and put them in our household and let our children sit there and play them. Because they really don't know what they're up against. They're only children, you know. If we don't learn how to think for our children and their endeavors to be free, then how can we expect them to be free? We're looking at them to think for themselves, do for themselves, and, you know, we're parents. We're supposed to be parents. But you got these kids that have no understanding or no inclusion as to what is actually going on. You know, they don't know no more than mom and daddy tell them. But when mom and daddy ain't on one accord and they don't know what time of day it is, then we can't help these children. They're at our disposal. And we're not doing anything to assist them. Right. But when I really saw that transformation, I came to grips with myself, and I said that, you know what, something needs to be done. I said, because there's no way, and I looked at this kid just transform, and, you know, he's buying prostitutes, he's doing everything, and I'm like, why would a parent even buy this game for these kids?
Right.
Man,
you talking about on that Grand Theft Auto crap.
Yeah, man, that game, that's off the chain.
You know what?
They rape people. They rape people.
Yup. It's justifying them and setting in their minds on a continual basis that to break the law is okay. It's good to go hit you a lick. Go ahead and hit you a lick. You won't even know why you did that. You don't even know why you snatched or stole that. You probably already had some money in your pocket, but your intuition is to snatch that lady purse or to take this soda or to take this bag of chips because you've been playing that game so long, Grand Theft Auto. So your first thought process is not back in the day. It was like, oh man, look at it, that's a nice ride, man. I'm gonna save up my money and get a ride like that. No.
Now you're gonna take one.
No, right. Yes, ma'am. Okay, no. But after playing that Grand Theft Auto so long, now your view is, let's jack that fool. Let's take that car.
Right.
Now, back in my day, it's probably would have been like, man, I'm going to save up and get me a car just like that. I like the rims.
Right.
I like the sound. I mean, I could save up and I could work and I'm going to get me one of those. No, the view is now, since the game and the media is, I'm taking that. He's a sucker. I'm a jack that fool because we've been playing games like Grand Theft Auto all these years, growing up playing that garbage and listening to this old, and listening to this evil ass, rap music.
Well, I one thing I'm gonna say about rap music is this:
the majority of it. I mean, it's just I already know, but
well, what I'm gonna say is that. You have to look, and this is what I tell people, you have to look at who controls the industry of rap. And the people that control the industry of rap music, unfortunately, don't look like you. Their primary goal is to do just what they're doing, and that is to make sure that they sell records.
By any means necessary.
By any means, they don't care who they sell them to. They don't care who buys them. All they know is that they have to sell them. And they have to sell them to us.
Yeah.
Because us is the one that's buying them.
That's right. So tell us some more about Boukman.
Okay, Boukman.
And thank you, caller.
Himself, Brother Yusuf. Yes, ma'am.
All right, my brother. Yeah. After Boukman died, after he laid, it was alleged that Boukman held this ceremony. Mm-hmm. And once he held this ceremony in the woods and he prophesied over these brothers that were going to be leaders in the Haitian Revolution, they captured Boukman. And once they captured Boukman, what they did was they took him in the woods, and they allegedly killed him. And they tied him up to a stake. And when they turned around, Boukman was gone. He was never again to be seen alive. And it was alleged that the spirit of Boukman disappeared because of his African spirituality. And right now, to the day, Boukman is a legend in the eyes of the Haitian people because he showed the European powers how effective his spirituality was in overcoming. So when we're facing, and they took that scripture out of Egypt and placed it in the Bible because, like I said, I was a Bible scholar and I was a minister. And it talks about spiritual warfare in heavenly places. But it don't talk about African spirituality in heavenly places. See, everything, as Dr. Clark said it, and he said it best, he said, the European and the Asian stole what you had, reprogrammed it, rewrote it, rephrased it, and sold it back to you, and you bought it. Because everything associated with Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, which came out of Egypt, was refabricated, reproduced, rewrote, and sold back to us, and we bought it because we have been 500 years without an inclination of who we are as a spiritual people. So when Boukman disappeared, it gave the people more inclusion in their spiritual power of what they could accomplish and who they were. And that was one of the elements that really fueled the Haitian Revolution. Now, my thing is this. If it worked for them, it'll work for us. Because the spiritual power of our ancestors have not gone anywhere. It is just we have not tapped into it. We are so busy still being indoctrinated into the ideologies of Europeanism and Asianism with Islam, Christianity, and the Hebrew Israelites that we have never even thought about African spirituality. We have never even thought about what happened if I did pray to my ancestors. What happened if I asked for intercession of my ancestors? See, and that's another scripture in the Bible. And that's why the Haitian people, they started incorporating Catholicism with Baudin. Because they said, guess what? We will use this as a means of getting what we need. Now, the clincher was that when the European powers, and we must understand that these people, Boukman, Dessalines, Toussaint, they fought for 13, 14 years. But because they defeated, now check this out, they defeated the major European powers of the world with a slave army. Nobody went to military school. They did it off of mother wit and ancestral power. Toussaint, just like Toussaint, was the greatest general to come in 200 years after Hannibal, with no military schooling, and defeat the Spanish, the French, and the United States, and Great Britain. See, Great Britain was left out of the loop. Nobody knows about that. But here was the clincher, people, and I want y'all to really, really understand this. Because this little teeny group of African slaves defeated all of these major powers with nothing but African spirituality and mediocre weapons. Okay? This embargo that I talked about against Haiti from 1806 to 2003 impoverished them for the rest of their life. When country has been impoverished for 200 years, that means that all of their economic resources have been redistributed to European countries. All of the profits from all of their exports have been redistributed to European countries for them freeing themselves from enslavement.
Brother Brown, let's take another call.
Okay.
This is a special call. This is a very, very special call. Caller from 917. Caller 917, your mic is open. Bleuz.
Greetings.
Hello,
can you hear me?
Yes, greetings. Welcome in.
Mr. Cheryl, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, and yourself?
I am doing great. Give thanks. I appreciate the show that you're having. Big up to the panel and everybody that's out there. I just joined the show. I'm sorry for my tardiness.
That's okay. We're just going to have you call in.
Okay. My name is Haiti Bleuz. Haiti is the original name of Haiti. So when we refer to Haiti, we try to do our best to refer to it as Haiti. So I'm just would love to add on to what the brother was dropping in terms of the Haitian Revolution. A lot of the stuff he said was very true. And though I was born here in the States, the more and more I learned about the Haitian people, what they've done, it's like, whoa, we did all that. And just the influence that we've had throughout here in the States as well. It's one of the major key factors that I feel that as an African people, when we make the time to and know about what was actually going on. I don't know if any of you guys have seen Professor James Smalls. He has a little interview he did on Sonnetter's. It was Haiti and Vodou. It's about 3 segments, about 15 minutes long. Very, very educational segment. He himself is a priest of Oya in the Yoruba tradition.
Right.
And he breaks down a lot of stuff about the Haitian Revolution that would be very beneficial for our brothers and sisters here in America. And this is African-American brothers is breaking it down on a priestly level about how if we made the time to understand and study the Haitian Revolution, we'd be on a totally different level.
That's right.
And, he also made the point, since, we're all in tune with sports over here on this time, he's like, it's like studying a championship team. What coach or what team would not go and study the championship team to see what they did So you two can, you could win. You could be like Mike, And,
that's right.
And that's really all we got to do is return back to the source, And speaking about Boukman, Dutty, there's a prayer that he had called Boukman's prayer. I don't have it word for word, but pretty much he went along saying, calling on the God of the wind, God of the air, God of the sun, God of the earth,
elements, right?
The elements, fire, air, water. Pretty much the brother called on the elements. He said the God of the white man has made us do all these heinous things. We are good people and we serve a good God. We refer to God in Haitian culture as Bon Dieu. And the main thing, which was very, very powerful from a psychological aspect and in terms of dealing with racism and white supremacy, that he said we must remove all the images of the white man.
That's right.
As God, or just remove the images of the white man. So
he said, cast aside the image of the God of your oppressor.
Right. So if anything out of that little stuff right there, that's the one thing that we should all be, images shape our reality. And these images, along with these words, such as the English language, have been shaping and misinforming our people. The Miseducation of the Negro by Dr. Carter G. Woodson, the father of black history, is most definitely a must-read for all of our brothers and sisters. But back to the Black Jacobins, I don't know if any of you guys have heard. It's a book called The Black Jacobins by Brother C.L.R. James. An excellent book.
Yeah, I read it.
And I read that book, actually, yes.
Yeah, it's a very, very powerful book. Very powerful book. Recently, I've been fortunate and honored to come across some women and learn a lot more about the influence of the women of the Haitian Revolution, such as Jean, Marie Claire, hers, Bonheur Dessalines, Jean-Jacques Dessalines' wife. She's the sister. There's something called Soup Jumu, a special soup that is celebrated every January 1st to signify our independence, where all Haitian families get together and they eat this soup. And this is a special soup that was made out of pumpkin, spicy pumpkin, and all type of vegetables, and you pretty much put your own stuff in it, but it's very, very healthy and very nourishing. And then just on a spiritual level, with the family element, it takes it on a whole different level. And one thing about the Haitian Revolution that the people don't know is that the Haitian Revolution was a family revolution.
Thank you.
So it was brothers, sisters, aunt, uncle. I mean, everybody was in it to win it,
Yeah.
And
it was. Excuse me. Let me say something right quick.
Go ahead, bro.
It was the participation of us on a unified front for a common goal. See, and this is what is not taught in academia. See, we talk about they hit basis on Toussaint. They don't even hit basis on Boukman or Makanda, but they hit basis on Toussaint. See, they don't tell you that everybody was involved. It was just like, okay, this affects everybody, and that's why one of the elements that I progressed through my Pan-African organization is that, as Marcus Garvey said, Africa for the Africans, and African goals for African people. We're not Europeans. We're not Asians. See, and the Haitian Revolution is a blueprint of revolutionary power, spiritual power, that can propel us into all of the elements that we want to be in.
And it's not even can, it will.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I use it every day. It's nothing. Let me tell you something. I make libation every day. There's not a day that I don't leave the house that I don't make libation and ask for the assistance of the same ancestors that did the Haitian Revolution, because they are my gods. They are my gods. I don't have a European God. I don't have an Asian God. They are my gods because guess what? They paved the way for me spiritually to be who I am, and they will continue to pave the way. as long as I continue to give them what they're due. And all they'll do is prayer. They don't ask for no tithes and offerings for none of that.
Mm-hmm.
So until we get on one accord and understand that these are our powers, these are powers that were bestowed upon us by the Creator for us to understand and acknowledge that this is our tool, this is our spiritual warfare weapon. These are they stole that scripture out of the Bible, and I wanted to quote that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God, to the pulling down of strongholds and casting down imagination and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge and power of God, and into captivity every thought into the obedience of who we are as a created people. Mm-hmm. So when we utilize that, we're invoking the spiritual powers of our ancestors to come into our lives at that point in time and to recreate the spirits that have been taken away from us. It's all about spiritual warfare. And we are not being equipped to spiritually fight these enemies of ours who are continuously degrading us through Asiatic and European religious ideology.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, brother. And to add on to what you're saying, the family unit, so this is the main thing that we're experiencing right now is the destruction of the family unit.
Absolutely.
And by us taking the time to acknowledge the Haitian Revolution, we would be able to see how each member of the family played an important role in making it come into fruition. And there's a great sister by the name of Professor Baina Bello. She is an excellent sister for everyone to definitely get some information on. Her name is BAYYINAHBELLO, and she has a documentary called The Haitian Revolution, and then she has something with the Haiti earthquake interview.
Share her name again. Could you share her name again? Let me write that down.
Baina, BAYYINAH, and Bello, BELLO.
Okay.
And there's also another sister. She's also a playwright, attorney, a lawyer. She has an organization called the Haitians Lawyer Leadership Network. Her name is Ezili, EZILI Danto, DANTO. And these two sisters, her website is ezilidanto.com. These two sisters, as an artist, as a poet, have greatly influenced me in my journey of learning more about my ancestral knowledge. And, you know, Professor Baina Bello, as a historian, definitely, and she speaks to centaurians and gets some really ground information, you know, really has helped me. And, in fact, I have a link on my Facebook notes page, which I can share with you, Sister Shira, which you can share down your line. It's called How More Black African People Won the Haitian Revolution, something to that effect, the Haitian Education Station. But it has a whole bunch of information on the Haitian Revolution, including the Haitian Constitution, the whole thing with the Dominican Republic. There's been a great breakdown.
I've been keeping up with that, man, because see what people don't understand about the split of that island, okay, is part French and part Spanish. The Spanish part is Dominican Republic, but you have a tremendous amount of racism. See, that's what people don't understand about white Spanish people. White Spanish people will practice the same racism as white Europe, because they are white Europeans. They're descendants of white European slave owners. Okay.
Yes,
okay, so you know we need to understand that their white skin, their hair, their nature, but their content is to hate African people.
Mm-hmm. And
in hating African people, they hate the people that live on the same island with them.
Yeah.
So when the Haitian people go over there looking for work, they're treated just like we were treated in America in the 1920s with peonage. And if that's not good enough, they're killing them openly because they don't want them in that part of the island. And the international laws do not affect these people. Nobody's doing anything about it. So they are allowed to actually practice genocide against the Haitian people with no intervention from the United Nations or anybody. And nobody is taking a look at that.
Well, you know, DR is the whole island is really called Haiti Bleuz, and Haiti never invaded the Dominican Republic. So the whole formation of how they came about is, you know, very questionable. It's a lot of propaganda, which is like one of the number one tools used against our people to go against each other. And the Dominican Republic, the island is mainly a bunch of brothers and sisters. So you got a lot of people at DR, and they dark just like you and me, but, you know,
that's right.
We don't understand the system of racism, white supremacy coming from our own perspective and our own lens. As Dr. Francis Cress Welsing reminds us, it's a local, national, and global system. You know, we're looking at things backwards, fighting each other. So, you know, the miseducation factor is a huge, huge factor, and they've been pinning us against each other. And, you know, and the self-hatred factor, self-hatred especially. And this extends to just all over wherever African people are. You know, we're going with the self-hatred on a major level. So, you know. Also, one thing that they don't speak about, too, about the Haitian Revolution is the whole foundation of it was founded through, well, you did say about African spirituality. It was Vodun.
Right.
And because we've been brainwashed to think that Vodun is evil, is pagan, is the devil, and all that stuff, we understand we're already defeating ourselves by not tapping into what we need to tap into. So, and even on a historical record, a lot of the stuff that we get, we're not getting the true aspects of it because it's not coming from the actual Vodun history. Which is not really in the books like that. You would have to get more in depth with the Haitian roots, or the Racine, what they call the Racine. You know, so it's a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? But you know, we're in a time of revelations. You know, we're in a time of a great awakening and a paradigm shift where the information is out and it is spreading, and slowly but surely, you know, our people are getting themselves together, you know, even with the media trickery.
And they got a lot of it.
Absolutely. And you know what? Brother Haiti teaches yoga in Brooklyn, right?
Yes, I do teach Kemeitc Yoga, which is based off the African culture, the ancient African culture, what we know today as Egypt. So I do teach in Brooklyn on Saturdays at 10 a.m. And also I teach in Jersey City on Monday at 7 p.m. in Jersey City. And also I'll be having classes in Queens and other areas popping up. So if you do like to contact me, you can reach me at Souls of Oneness, that's SOULZOFONENESS. That's the name of my yoga page. And artistically, I don't know if you have any room to where I can give something poetically or I don't know how much. Okay. Sure. I could just drop a verse for something. Yeah, we go something like. C'est Grégolnouye, Africain a représenté, tête ensemble avec mon Dieu, Haïti chéri n'a campé, l'histoire par nous la vérité, pour qui ça y voulait changer, fille noire a replacé, mais nous connaissons ça qui passé là. Yeah, get your Africa on, Sénégalais, freedom, fighters, Maroons, 1804, riders, yeah, we up in your dome, whether it be the revolutionary hip-hop opponents, yeah, we. Y'a pas de tout ça, tout est bien love to see. You may access the lines on the phone and everybody. Yeah, boo, you have to let's call it see. When I see him and not compare, yeah, we tired of the lie. And we busy reneging my many of us had to die. But we see the real change. Know our history inside ourselves, inside Dessalines. What Dessalines, to Timuyo, to Timuyo. Nous sommes original, c'est nous tout qui a fait. The copy that stole us out through the sword and the pen. We were here in the beginning and we'll be in the end. We fell off us again. Come back. We will survive, Haiti, we will arise, yes, we will, Haiti, oh, we will survive, protect our babies, we will arise. Stand up with Haiti, black people get to see what's going on. Haiti's Katrina, and we both been silent for too long. The time is now to recognize and make we are the strong. Unity's our key, IT needs help, we must be more involved. Our problems won't be solved unless we get it tied. Lose the egos and the losers, it's time to unify. Clarity over confusion, understand we are divine. There is strength in unity, it's a must we organize. Who were we before slavery? Just a little
something, brother. Hotel. You gotta stay in touch, bro, because we got to move on with this. There's no time for playing games.
Indeed, brother. Indeed, definitely gotta move on. You know, so I would love to through Sister Shira, she can send me your info and we can definitely connect. Where you based out of, bro?
I'm right on the eastern shore of Maryland. I'm about 5 hours away from New York.
Okay. I'm up in the Jersey area right now. Originally from born in Brooklyn, but originally just moved out from South Florida. So it's
we just need the main thing is that to come into a oneness of awareness and understanding that this is everybody's struggle. And the reason I did the Haitian Revolution, because it's a thing with me spiritually, is because I saw the connection between using spiritual powers to defeat an enemy that cannot be defeated with mortal combat. See,
yeah, I mean,
we can't look to gather AK-47s, 10mm, all that is obsolete. Okay, we went through that with the Panther Party. Struggle is not an answer. It's not even part of the equation for a solution.
I agree with you.
That's out of the loop. We have to retrain our forces. You know, we are spiritual people that's fighting a battle with our spiritual forces.
I agree with you.
We're doing something backwards. Even when we go in the court system, utilize African spirituality. Everything that we do from any aspect of this struggle from here on out needs to be done with the teaching and understanding of spiritual forces. You take the 6 and 7 Book of Moses, which the white man has said was witchcraft. That was African spirituality. That was what our ancestors used. They used the invoking of the spirits through the elements of nature, wind, air, fire, water. They used that. They used these elements to turn around the ships of the Europeans and the Americans, so that the seas would be made rough, so that they couldn't come into Haiti and do what they had to do to destroy the people. Use these things, people. It's very essential that we use them, because these are the only weapons that we have, and it was clearly stated when they stole it from us out of the tombs of the pharaohs that the weapons of our warfare are not common but mighty God. So when we understand that this is what we need to do, then we don't need to be running around buying a whole lot of guns and ammunition like the white man, because that is his truth. That is what he has to use. He has no connection with our spirituality, and there is nothing that he can do to defeat it. So when we come on one accord and understand that this is what we need to get back to, then the mindset of our people will be turned around. The mindset of our children being taught who they are will be turned around. Our children will not suffer from a degraded element. you look at what we eat. We need to get back to a natural habitation of eating fruits and vegetables. If we eat meat, let's raise our meat. See, our meat is not being raised by us.
Hey, Brother Brown, we have another caller in our last few minutes. Brother Canty, your mic is open.
Yes, how are you?
Greetings.
Can you hear me? Greetings. I wanted to say thank you for having these two brave brothers on the air, my dear sister, and I wanted to say something about why this government alone will never forgive the Haitian people for daring to be free. They defeated Napoleon. Napoleon had unleashed 25,000 of his most professional soldiers, and he just knew he could put the revolution down with a snap. What happened was, the few that made it back to the base told the emperor, "Monsieur, it's all over." They could not. France was so demoralized. That's how we got Louisiana. They also made sure they were compensated for the loss of their slaves because Haiti was France's most prized possession. They made the freedom fighters pay France 150,000 francs in gold, and to make sure they got their money, they blockaded the waters of Haiti. Haiti was the biggest trade in that part of the world. Thomas Jefferson, seeing his slaves looking out his property and seeing his slaves doing the same thing, he imposed an embargo. So it wasn't Cuba that America had an embargo against; it was really Haiti, and that they did all they could to destroy Haitian people's desire to be free. When you guys get off the air, Google down HAARP, HAARP, and you'll see how the so-called earthquake was a phony.
Man-made.
Yes, because it shares the island with DR, Dominican Republic. The Dominican Republic didn't lose, not one teacup fell off the cupboard.
Yep.
When there's just in contrast, when there's an earthquake in Mexico, it's felt all the way up to San Diego.
Yes,
indeed. From two different continents. And I was just so sorry that the Congressional Black Caucus, I wasn't surprised that Sharpton, but I guess I shouldn't be surprised that the Congressional Black Caucus, Sharpton was supposed to be going down there with some medicine and water and all that. Got a call from the former mayor Bloomberg and told him to mind his business. He said, Yazabal, and went to England instead.
Well,
England instead.
Can I add something to you, brother, about the earthquake?
Yeah.
Can I add something to you? Well,
Please
start talking about spirituality, I would like to let you all know that that same force that our ancestors called during the Boukman ceremony on August 14, 1791, where we called on our ancestors and that gave us the force for the liberation to gain that victory. It is that same force that was present during the fake quake of 2010. But I found out from later on from Vodun priests that none of the Vodun temples fell.
Wow.
Everything else was falling all over the place, but none of the Vodun temples. So if black folks can't make that simple little correlation, the same force that helped you liberate yourself that we were in tune with, and the same temples that are associated with that same force didn't fall during the so-called earthquake, then, we really got to do a deeper analysis of who we are, man. We taking ourselves, man.
But you see, our ancestors, like Marcus Garvey, look how far we would have been advanced had we had listened to him. The largest following, never was a following. He was a man from the Caribbean, from the island of Jamaica, was able to capture the imagination of black people, not only here in America, but across the land and down, no matter in this diaspora or in the motherland or in the Caribbean, there was never a following. Now, J. Edgar Hoover was still able to still getting powerful. He was able to not make a martyr out of Garvey, but character assassination was the game to take his brother out and have him deported. Now, his number one arch nemesis was W. Du Bois.
That's
now,
right.
kept evolving and realized how wrong he was and how correct Garvey was, he didn't have the spine to write a book and say how wrong he was and how correct Garvey was, but he left us a subliminal message. He lived out his final years, died, and is buried in Accra. Now, the ironic thing about Garvey, he never got to see Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And here's the man that was the number one arch nemesis, not only got to see Africa, died and is buried in Accra, the capital of Ghana.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And most of our people never caught that because the Boule don't want us to ever think in terms of what if we came, not from Africa, what if we came to Africa rather than coming from Africa? What if we had came to Africa when it was in its glory? Not Africa is so decimated.
Well, Africa needs us right now, and technically Africa, as Dr. Marimba Anissa says, Africa is in our DNA. It's in every aspect of our being. So no matter where we are, even here in North America, this is still technically Africa because it was all connected at one point.
That's right.
Spiritual beings of dark and light, no matter where we are across the globe, we are connected and we are African. So it's just a matter of us tapping into what we need to tap into and get it going, we don't even stop in ourselves. Yeah, we have the enemy outside of us, but the worst enemy is the enemy within. I would like to also add about the earthquake, since I have a personal experience that came through my network. One of our yoga instructors, Kemeitc Yoga instructors that came through the school that I went through, she was actually present during the earthquake, and she survived that particular feat. And the way she survived was through the divine power of breath. Most of us don't know that we're breathing incorrectly here in North America. We're breathing from our chest, which is a more stressful, strenuous way of breathing and doing things, when in actuality we're supposed to be breathing from our abdomen. By breathing through our abdomen, this is how babies are born breathing. We are providing ourselves with more oxygen throughout our body, which gives us more energy. We're also learning how to control as well as cultivate our breath, cultivate our emotions, control our behaviors, control stress. All these things are very important in order for us, because a lot of times we can't have true conversations because we're yelling at each other. We're yelling at each other, doing all these things, and when you're yelling, you're actually losing your breath when you're yelling like that. Or if somebody's angry and they're about to fight and they break them up and they got to come down from that high of being angry, what you're actually doing is breathing yourself, calming yourself down. Or if you're nervous or upset, what they tell you to do, they tell you to breathe. So, the breath on a spiritual level, because the breath is also dealing with the unseen, has a lot to do with everything, because the air is alive within us. And what's also fascinating about that sister's testimony is not only did she survive that experience, she healed herself naturally from the divine power of breath, Kemeitc Yoga, and natural medicine. So this simple little thing that we have free for all of us, this thing can help us in a whole different way if we just make time to understand ourselves.
I want to thank you.
No problem, brothers, sisters. So we have a lot of things we can use, man. It's just a matter of tapping into that ancestral data bank and utilizing what is in front of us. Everybody else is using all our health practices and whatever, and they're getting rich and wealthy and healthy off of them, while we have high blood pressure, tension, we're angry, we're going crazy, they poisoning our food and water, and we don't know what's going on, we hating on each other, it's all kind of stuff.
You see how they got people, no matter what color they are, in West Virginia drinking poisonous water, telling them, go ahead, water's okay. Water's okay, but the water's still smelling like licorice. People still fainting, having all kinds of health problems because of that poisonous water. But they've been told by the environmental system down there, go ahead, it's okay. Take the water, drink the water.
Man, it's all kind of games they running on us, bro. You know what I'm saying? But, there's certain ways for us that we can deal with those. And again, like you said, is getting in touch spiritually. It's the number one factor, because everything starts from the spirit world first and then extends outward. Spirit, mind, body, not body,
That's
mind,
right.
spirit.
And if we don't acknowledge and understand the spiritual essence of who we are as a people, and understand that is our unification, then we won't ever be able to defeat the powers that are constantly defeating us. But until we get to the notion that we are at war, see, if you don't ever know that you're at war and you have an enemy, then you will never learn how to fight.
That's right.
So if you don't know you have an enemy, you're not willing to fight against that enemy, and you don't think you have an enemy, then it makes no sense to fight. But when you know you have an enemy of destruction who is not only destroying you, but is destroying
the unborn generation.
Destroying the unborn generation through various means such as eugenics and abortion and all of these other elements. And we're sitting back thinking, like I gave an illustration last time we were on the radio, that when teenage girls get pregnant, some of the mothers say, well, I don't want to destroy my daughter's future. She wants to go to college. She wants to do this. You're destroying your daughter's future by not allowing her to be the woman that the Creator wanted her to be, because she got pregnant. And pregnancy is an element of procreation. So when we allow ourselves to think that this is some kind of disease for our women to bear children, not knowing whether this child will be the next Marcus Garvey or the next Malcolm X, then what we're doing is that we're aiding and abetting the element of eugenics in our own society. And we don't see it as such. And we need to sit down and take a look at who we have been programmed to be. We have been programmed to be and think as European people. And until we get that notion out of our minds, and I like what you said about Marcus Garvey and Du Bois, because I always tell people Du Bois did not realize that he was being used, because Marcus Garvey stated in his book, The Philosophy and Opinion, which I have read about 5 times, he stated that when he went to the NAACP, he found out that the people that he went there, they looked more white than black, because the NAACP at that time, if you were anything in NAACP, you had to be light-skinned and have fair hair.
That's right.
It was founded by Jews, too.
Right, and that was and it was a Jewish. It still is a Jewish organization. It has never changed its color. And that's what we, as a member, as a board member of a branch of the NAACP, as radical as I am, and I was kicked out of the NAACP for being radical and telling them and challenging the education system in Norfolk, Virginia, and they got rid of me. I mean, they took, because I told them how they could sue the state of Virginia and the school board. See, and when it was made known that I would not be a sellout, then I was kicked out. But what Garvey instituted was that, he couldn't work with the NAACP. All his efforts of sabotaging came out of the NAACP. The judge that even said at his trial, board member of the NAACP.
A board member.
That's right. So it was already etched in stone that we're going to make this man fail and we're going to get him out of the country. I have faced the same elements, in my activism, in my revolutionary, elements as Marcus Garvey felt. So I know from a first-hand experience that the only thing that's keeping me in the position that I am to help my people is the spiritual elements of me making libation with my ancestors and understanding that this is my warfare. And I'm encouraging people to, just like I practiced libation a while ago on the radio when I came on, this is something that we must learn to do every morning when we get up. Do it before you leave the house. Do not leave the house without the spiritual elements of your ancestors being in your life. Get you some incense. Burn your incense every morning.
I'm burning mine.
Yeah, you can go to these little stores and you can get High John the Conqueror. You can get these incense. You can burn this incense. This is our spiritual power. And using the libation of our ancestors, and you pray to your ancestors just like you pray to your European God. You ask them to do things on your behalf, and they will do them. It will get done. And there's no distance in the spirit world, and we must understand that. So when we use these spiritual elements and educating ourselves, and I will teach more on that because this is what I do daily. I do not leave the house until I do it. Because if I leave the house and I do it, I come back in the house. I need that protection. And this is what we must do, my brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
And on that note, Brother Brown, we will get ready to close out with closing comments. Haiti Bleuz, are you still there? Haiti Bleuz, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here, sister. I'd just like to say we all need to get to know ourselves better on each, on every level that we can. We need to take time to learn how to breathe properly because everything starts within the breath. When you learn how to breathe, you're going to see a whole different change in your whole aura as a being. It's going to definitely help you. Get involved in doing some Kemeitc Yoga. Or if you can't do Kemeitc Yoga, there's other forms that our African ancestors created, Tai Chi, Qigong, just different, even the martial arts, the Mantu arts, they come from Africa. This is all our stuff. This is all our technology, not this stuff that we're speaking through. You know, that's not the original technology. It's everything we need the Creator already gave us within us. If you'd like to check out more information on the Dominican Republic, it's a great article called Haiti Never Occupied the Dominican Republic, Time to Put the Myth Aside. You can Google that, and the group is called Boukman Lit, www.bookmanlit.com. That article came from their website. There's a great, The Gods of Haiti is also a great documentary on YouTube. You can check that out to get some more information on Vodun. I can't stress for you guys to check out Professor James Small's Vodun in Haiti. Definitely check that out. And I'm also sending Sister Shira a link with a lot of this information. So even if you don't get it now, you can ask her for the link. And I constantly update the link. And, I also have a track you can check out. It's called Yes We Will Haiti. It's a spoken word, hip-hop Creole spoken word track. It's on YouTube. The 11-minute and 22-second one is the better version. As a spoken word artist, hip-hop artist, singer, vocalist, activist, amongst many things. I give thanks for your time. One more thing. Jean-Jacques Dessalines, we don't get to hear too much about Jean-Jacques Dessalines, and a lot of times we don't get to hear about him. He is really the architect behind a lot of the stuff, and they push out Toussaint all the time to talk about Toussaint, but they don't talk about Dessalines because he's the guy that was like, we ain't gonna have it, you know what I'm saying? And when he said that we ain't gonna have it, it was a wrap. So that type of mindset.
He was no nonsense.
Right, the no nonsense brother. So he's the type of brother that you know. He's the type of brother that just didn't tolerate it. So he was involved with the creation of the whole, set the blueprint for La Citadelle, which is a 20,000-man fortress on top of a mountain peak on Haiti, which could sustain, in Haiti, which could sustain attack for a year. A lot of people also don't know about Haiti's involvement here in the Americas with saving, actually birthing the United States. In 1779, we sent over 500 troops. The city of Chicago was founded by Jean-Baptiste Dupont de Sable. You have 5 to 8 Tuskegee Airmen. That was Tuskegee Airmen, that was Haitian. So there's a whole lot of stuff going on that we don't know, not only on the Haitian tip, but just as African people. And the one thing as African people we need to get, the mission of Haiti was the moment that you set a foot on that land, that you are automatically free and a citizen just because of your melanin, just because you black. So the Haitian Revolution just wasn't for the Haitian people. It was for all people. So much so we helped liberate Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Colombia, Central America. The whole revolution thing popping off in Central America happened because Haiti got free. So there's no reason why we can't get free ourselves here throughout the Americas. So I give thanks for your time.
Good, thanks,
Thank
bro.
you so much. Peace and blessings. Peace and love. Brother Brown?
Yeah. Well, I think we need to stay on one accord. I think we need to understand that we have a duty not only to ourselves but to our ancestors, and that we must definitely be pervasive in doing this. I mean, we can't sit back and say, well, we'll do it today, we won't do it tomorrow. This is something that must be done each and every day. We must understand the nature of what we're doing as in reference to our revolution, and that revolution does not only come through the barrel of a gun, it also comes through the education assessments of who we are as a people. And when we liberate ourselves for that purpose and that sole purpose, then and then only will we revolutionize our whole world.
Absolutely. And thank you, Brother Brown, for sharing the knowledge. And you know what I think we may need to do? We may need to just have a few shows on just discussing the personalities of these three revolutionaries. What do you think? Maybe we just should have a show just discussing them. Just break them down.
I think that would be beautiful because we will be able to then get into more depth of who they were as a people, how that we can ask our ancestors to invoke the spirits of these people into our spirit world so that we can allow the mantles of these liberators to fall on us to give us more of an insight into our revolution, because this is the real revolution. You know, the last poet wrote a song years ago, said the revolution will not be televised, the revolution will not be televised, the revolution will be real. So this is the real revolution coming about, where we will not be on TV marching up and down the street. We will not be burning up stuff in our neighborhoods where we don't even own. We will revolutionize our spirituality and allow our spirituality to defeat the powers that have been attacking us for over 2,000 years, from the African continent all the way to the Western Hemisphere. So this is the real revolution, people. This is the revolution where we disband all European and Asiatic religious thoughts and philosophies. We disband them. We cast them aside. We come to a grips with who we are as a people, who our ancestors are in the spirit world, how we must entertain our ancestors' thought, philosophies, and ideologies of freedom from an everyday basis of liberation, and how we must carry this out daily.
Absolutely. Let me try to just take a few callers that have been holding on. I will open up your mic if you have a question or a comment. Just go ahead on and start speaking. If not, just please say no so that we can move on to the next person.
Yes, I have a.
Okay, do you have a question or a comment?
I just have a short comment. We need to have a psychological revolution and a spiritual revolution as well, because even though we are physically free, that does not mean that we are spiritually free, because a lot of us are just walking zombies. And also I would like to shout out to my Haitian brother that called in and said his poem. So a shout out to him, and take care.
Take care, bro.
Great. And I'll share those links with you too as well, okay?
Okay, thank you.
And with the listener audience. Thank you and have a good night. Thank you so much for calling. Okay, I will go down the line quickly. Okay, caller 757, question or a comment? 757.
No comment.
Okay, great. Thank you. Caller, I believe from Skype, 111. Question or comment? Caller. All right, and your mic is open. Welcome to the Lotus Place. Caller from 410. Four 410-251.
No comment.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for listening. 443-221. Your mic is open.
Peace and blessings. I would just like to touch on Black Wall Street, and that is history that has to be exposed to the masses, like, immediately. Because I watched the DVD that I got about Black Wall Street, and it never dawned on me that the Gap Band had made a song.
You dropped the bomb on me. And
we danced and partied on this song, not even knowing the detriment.
Well, you gotta realize what the Gap Band stood for. That's Greenwood, Archer, and Pine, and that was the hub of Black Wall Street. That's what
Greenwood, Archer, and who?
Pine, P-I-N-E. That was the hub of the black. That was the hub of the Black Business District in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's where the name came from.
Yeah, I didn't know the 3rd Street. I couldn't get the 3rd Street because it wasn't in the DVD I watched. But almost every city or town across this country had a Black Wall Street to some degree. And I say that because I live in Annapolis, Maryland, and Black Wall Street here to me was the 4th Ward, which they have erased. Every childhood memory I had of the 4th Ward is no longer there. There still is the Elks Lodge up on Northwest Street, and it's still a school, Adams Park, that was once an all-black school that Oberry Court children went to. But people my age I cannot tell my grandchildren or take my grandchildren to this location and say this is where I grew up, because it's not there anymore. So nobody lost their lives here, which was fortunate, but that history right there has to be exposed to young children so that they can see that this system that we are dealing with is not the rose that they pretend to be. This democracy they want us to continue to be a part of is so opposite of who we truly are. And, hey, we got to get away from it. And I'm glad you're on the radio.
Thank
you.
Peace. Thank you so much for listening. Peace and light. And on that note, Brother Brown, I think we will conclude. What do you say?
I think it's time to get out, man.
Don't call me.
All right. Peace and light and love, and thanks to everyone that tuned in and the listeners and callers that called in with their comments. This was one of my favorite shows, actually. I mean, this was great, Brother Brown. I'm glad you thought of speaking on the Haitian Revolution.
Well, we have to learn how to do things that's gonna give us some insight as to who we are. You know, we can we can do all the other things on radio, hip hop, all these things, but to actually educate our people for revolutionary purposes is what we need to be doing. And on that note, we're gonna sign off. It's 10:30. We've been on for 2.5 hours. I really appreciate it. And next week I think we'll do Black Wall Street.
All right then. Let's sign off. Peace and light. Tune in next week for Black Wall Street here at the Lotus Place. Again, we want to say happy birthday to our producer, Dr. Short.
Happy birthday, brother, Dr. Short.
Yeah,
I'm gonna call
happy birthday. And we also want to say happy birthday to Trayvon Martin. It was his birthday this past week, too. So we don't want to forget about him. And also, let's stay informed.
He wrestles with them. He wrestles with the ancestors.
He wrestling with the ancestors. That's right. And we want to stay informed on the Jordan Davis case as well. So on that note, let's sign off. Peace.
All right, good night. Peace.